This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social. I'm delighted to be joined by Ben Davison, trainer of the lineal heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury. How are you doing today, Ben?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you, very well. Always a good start to the interview when people ask how I am, so I like it, thank you.
Polite, isn't it?
It is polite, thanks very much. So, Tyson Fury makes his second appearance of his long-awaited comeback, boxing at Belfast. Sorry, the tannoy just threw me there. Boxing at Belfast, Windsor Park on Carl Frampton's undercard. So, how's Tyson been looking in the gym?
He's been looking good. I gave him a week off after that one, so we'll be back in the gym as of tomorrow. But from what I'm seeing in the gym, I'm not too worried.
What did you make of his performance against Fury?
Well, in my opinion, it was more about the event than it was the fight. I think Frank made that clear when he was talking about the opponents. When you look at where Tyson's come from and the journey he's been on, you can replicate the boxing in the gym, but you can't replicate the mental and emotional side of it. And I think that was, a hurdle that needed to overcome, and that was a good starting point for him to, come out to all those fans. And his concentration wasn't there, but for me, Tyson's ability, he needs to be mentally stimulated. He needs to be aroused by the opponent for you to see the best of him. And my only worry is, the lesser the opponent, the lesser you're going to see of Tyson. I see it all the time in the gym. We bring in world-class sparring, and as soon as he knows he's got their number, he can get bored due to the amount of ability that he's got. And it's the same thing, Fury didn't stimulate Tyson. He wasn't aroused for it. It was more about the event. So I'm looking forward to when the time's right. We're discussing things at the moment, but when Tyson gets put in there under a test, you'll see the best of Tyson. Like I say, from what I'm seeing in the gym, I'm definitely not worried. And to transfer from the gym into the ring is all about the mindset, and the mindset will be right when Tyson knows he's got a test on his hands.
It's actually interesting you would say that, because I sat down with Ricky Hatton last week, who obviously has played host to Tyson on the way to his comeback. He said the same thing about his comeback, and it is much the same about the ring walk and dealing with the fans and the pressure on the night. Do you think it's more important, given what Tyson has been through during the time away from the ring, that mental side of the game?
1,000,000%. Like I say, you can replicate lots of things. You can replicate things in the gym, but you can't replicate that side of the mental and emotional side of things. And that has probably been the biggest test for Tyson. From day one when he got back in against world-class sparring, everything was there, and he's been looking at $1 million. So getting over that hurdle was a big hurdle, because that was the big part where Tyson had his struggles with the mental and emotional side of things. I'm very happy with how he's been looking in the gym, so let's just get the mindset right. Like I say, he needs to be stimulated and aroused by the opponent for you to see the best of him. Like you saw when he boxed Klitschko, same sort of thing. Billy Joe's exactly the same. It sort of reminded me of when Billy Joe boxed Joanne Bloyer before the Andy Lee fight. It was far from his best performance because he wasn't excited about it. It's hard to get up for them fights when you've got ability like those two have got. And we all know what happened in the Andy Lee fight straight after that. So it's a big key factor when you've got ability like that. Complacency is the word.
You've just mentioned Tyson Fury, you've also mentioned Billy Joe Saunders. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, potentially extrovert, sort of interesting characters, shall we say, to say the least. In your role as a trainer, how is it dealing with those kind of guys? How is it different training a Tyson Fury or a Billy Joe Saunders, these really talented guys who can be somewhat temperamental, as opposed to training somebody else?
It can be tougher. It can be tough because, like I say, I keep going back to it, but I've been going on about it ever since day one. They need to be mentally stimulated, and like I say, the better the opponent, the better you'll see a Tyson. And from what I'm seeing in the gym, like I say, I am over the moon. We've got the first one out of the way, the first hurdle with the mental and emotional battles. So I'll be looking for an exceptional performance and nothing less on August the 18th.
Seemingly getting some sort of contrasting stuff from various people when are talking about opponents or potential opponents for Tyson. I mean, some people will say that, we're looking at 4 or 5 fights, bringing him up gradually. Tyson, by his own admission, will one day say that he's ready to fight whoever, whenever. What's your opinion? What sort of ilk are you looking for Tyson in his next fight? What kind of level do you think will stimulate him, will get him up for it, but also bearing in mind the fact that he has been out for a long time and he's still away from peak physical condition?
Well, there's a lot more to it than just getting, I know who I would like, but there's a lot more to it than just saying that's who I would like, let's get in. There's a lot more to it, unfortunately. Boxing's not that simple. I wish it was. But we're in discussions at the minute. We're looking at a few people. We've got a few names and a few opinions, and we'll sit down and go through them.
Tony Bellew has been very vocal. Frank Warren, in the immediate aftermath of the Seferu win, said that that's a fight they'd like by the end of the year. When we were talking to Tyson upstairs, he said he's not interested in that fight. What do you make of Tony Bellew as a potential opponent?
Tony Bellew, good fighter. Key asset, same time punching. But he's not really a threat to Tyson, although Tyson's not I've said before, he's not at his physical peak where I would like him to be. So what you were just saying there about opponents and where we're taking him, it is still a step in progress, because you don't want to go too deep too soon. Although I know that Tyson could handle that. It's all about taking your time, doing it the right way. It's not a rush, and it's also about him staying happy and enjoying the boxing. That's another key thing. So step by step, Tony Bellew, good fighter, but he doesn't really bring anything that we're after, you know. We know where we're looking to go. Unfortunately, Tony Bellew is not really on them tracks, just because he's not got anything that we're looking for, you know. But he's a good fighter, and it's also very complicated with BT and Sky. It doesn't really generate the sort of money that Tyson and Joshua does, where you can do a deal with that sort of thing. Tony Bellew doesn't really bring that. Tyson's the A side, and Tony's saying he wants it to be on. It'd have to be on Sky. But then you look at the figures that Tyson's doing. You know, he's obviously the A side when you look at the stats. So that's a bit of a complicated one, and I just don't think it really interests.
And you're somebody who, from my own personal experience, I historically don't know an awful lot about. I know that you have worked with Billy Joe in the past, and obviously now you're with Tyson Fury. Tyson has had a very close relationship with his uncle Peter, who trained him. I think general consensus was that Peter was able to control him, or certainly get him into the correct mental state. Not to list your credentials, it's an interview but not a job interview, of course. What gives you the sort of the ability, as it were, to handle Tyson Fury? You're not somebody with 30 years experience, not saying you need it, but what gives you the sort of the edge, the ability to handle somebody like him?
People talk a lot about experience, but experience isn't about the amount, it's about the quality. And fortunately enough, I've spent, you know, a good number of years around some top trainers, picked up invaluable experience that probably adds up to 20, 30 years worth of experience with the people that I've been around and the time that I've spent around them in the type of camps that I've been in. I've been working with Billy Joe since 2012, since the Jarrah Fletcher fight. So, you know, although it may not be seen to the public, and you know, my job isn't to convince the public of my ability. Actions speak louder than words, and the fighters that I've worked with, you know, if you want an opinion on my ability and what I can do, speak to the fighters that I've worked with. You know, Tyson's a very intelligent man, although it might not seem like it sometimes. He's an intelligent man, and the same with Billy Joe. They know their boxing, and I wouldn't be working with those type of fighters if I wasn't very good at what I do. I think that speaks for itself.
Okay, and just finally, Ben, how far away from peak Tyson Fury, Vladimir Klitschko Tyson Fury are we? I mean, you talk a lot about the mental side. Obviously, there is a physical issue, or say a developing physical state that needs to be sort of looked at. How far away are we from optimum Tyson Fury?
In my eyes, I'd like to have this fight August the 18th, and at the end of the year, I'd be looking for the career best performance from Tyson. I'm looking for nothing short of a fantastic performance on August the 18th, but at the end of the year I'll be looking for a peak performance from Tyson Fury.
Okay, well, Ben Davison, trainer to the lineal heavyweight champion of the world, thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social. Look forward to catching up with you soon.
Cheers.